Well, hello there. I'm Lelia Lewis, and welcome to another edition of New Day, New Beginnings. Now, I want to ask you sometimes, do you feel like you're headed in the right direction, but uh, we get kind of off track? I mean, sometimes we feel we're being headed in a whole new direction, and we don't quite understand that. And it's like at first I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was on the right track. But then all of a sudden you're thrown a curveball, so to speak, and that puts you in a place of uncertainty. And but God has his own way of preparing us, preparing us for something greater or bigger than what we expect. And that brings me to today's lesson, which is titled Preparation for a New Destination. Now, and this lesson we're going to go over today, it is back in the biblical time, but it's a very good lesson because it was taught to the Israelites while they were in the desert. Because at that time, they were totally dependent upon Moses, who was guiding them, but he, Moses, was totally dependent upon God. God for direction, God for protection, God for provisions, God for guidance. So, God's preparation for Moses for this feat began a long time ago. And it all began when Moses killed the Egyptian while he was in Egypt, and then he had to run away from Egypt because he knew that if they found out he had killed an Egyptian, they would surely kill him. So he had to run away from Egypt out into the desert, and he just kind of wandered until he came to a place called Midian. And in Midian, that's where he started a brand new life in a brand new place with people he never knew. But he had met a family, and these girls were at the well watering their goats, and some other men came up and was trying to make them move. And then here comes Moses, and he fights the men off, and the girls take them back to meet their father. And Moses ends up working as a shepherd for their father. But he was up on the mountain, Moses, with the sheep, tending the flock like he was always did. But while he was on the mountainside, he heard the angel of the Lord. And when his first encounter came with God. And we all have heard about the burning bush. So I'm going to go to Exodus chapter 3. And we're going to just read to verse 10, or start in verse 10, because this is when the Lord spoke to Moses. And he said, "Come now, therefore, and I will send thee to Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth the people of Israel out of Egypt." Moses was, well, he said, "Well, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? Who am I that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt?" Because he didn't understand what God was telling him to do. But in finality, God just said, "For certain, I will be with thee." And he just began instructing Moses what to do. But listen, how about Moses was listening, but not understanding, but listening, because God was telling him what to do. He said, "Now you go get your brother Aaron, and you both go before Pharaoh, and you tell Pharaoh that the Lord God of Israel said, let my people go. And God also told him, if he does not hearken, if he doesn't listen, I shall stretch forth my hand upon Egypt so that every Egyptian shall know that I am the Lord. And of course, as we know, Pharaoh didn't listen and he just wouldn't let them go. He wouldn't release them. He wouldn't even acknowledge what they were saying. And at that point, God started to release his plagues one by one. So Pharaoh got many warnings, many times to let them go. And we're going to go over those times because this proves how Moses learned to trust God no matter what. So the very first thing that once Pharaoh said no, he wasn't going to let the people go, that's when God began. And he sent Moses and Aaron back with his rod, his staff, and he went before Pharaoh and he threw of course, remember this, he threw his staff down on the ground and it turned into a snake. And then Pharaoh had his magicians and sorcerers come and they threw down their rods and they got snakes all over too. But the difference was that Moses' snake, one, ate all of theirs. But even that didn't make him, Pharaoh, see how great God. And he said, this time, you just go out to the river. Go to the river and stretch out your hand, put the staff in the water, and all the water in Egypt will turn to blood. And that meant all the streams, all the rivers, all the ponds, all the pools, anything. Oh, I'm so warm. Anything that held water, the water turned to blood. And there was blood in all of Egypt, except for the Israelites for 7 days. And he went back and he said, God said, let my people go. And he was like, no. Now, next plague came.